On the one weekend where the sun shines, yeah. You know, I don't remember being really frustrated with the weather in Scotland. Ireland, it was a little drab. That's what I remember. We were far less impressed with Ireland, though. I think, like in general, um, not that there wasn't like fun times. It just, I don't know. Well, after being charmed, you know, we got our pants charmed off there, man. It was just very charming. Um, I guess we set a really high bar for Dublin. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I might go visit Glasgow, or however you say it. I guess I should learn how to say it. Um. Oh shit. I'm gonna delete. I'm gonna delete the bets. Sorry, guys. And do it again. I think I accidentally stopped it early. I mean, we spent most of the time not being in the game for the bets too. But yeah, my bad. My bad. So bet again if you want to win some grubby dubs. All right. We got MaxPax in the top right. And in the bottom left, it is Byun. See, so you want to be sober for the wedding? No, I'll have drinks at the weddings that I'm going to. I just, I can't have as much as I used to. Weed is much healthier anyway, so it's... You know, you got two solutions nowadays. Although not in the UK, I suppose. But in Poland, you do. Glasgow. Nailed it. The greatest Terran of 2016 versus the best Protoss of 2025. It's been a good run, Byun. A little bit of pessimism on the side of Byun, which is totally understandable. If I were also betting, which I can't, that would be illegal. I would also bet on MaxPax to win this. Now, to go over what I did last TvP for Byun, which still holds true, Byun, at the very least, doesn't just get stuck. When he faces a matchup or a player that he clearly is uncomfortable against, he doesn't just say, okay, well, I'm going to try my best on like a 3cc build. No, he changes it up a lot. So, you know, if it's versus a Zerg he can never beat, like a Serral, I guess, which, you know, never beats a bit strong, but he is unlikely to beat. Yeah, I'll throw in a 3cc, sure, but he'll do some type of variation on it, like a 3cc 211 with a Hellbat timing. Or he'll do a 2-Rax, you know, which no one seems to do bother anymore, but he might. Or he'll do a 2-base, depending on if the map can kind of sustain a 2-base into a 2-base all-in. He will do things. So when it comes to the Protoss and the current problem that we have here, I think Byun is more likely than others to at least attempt, let's say, a 2-base all-in SEV pool. He will probably throw out the occasional proxy marauder. See if that works. See whatever sticks, basically. Because if you are just going to play a normal macro game versus MaxPax, you are going to put him into a pretty damn good position. Byun might have won against a previous good Protoss, but that Protoss isn't as good as MaxPax, because almost none of them are. Hero is the other contender. And it's also not the same type of Protoss, I guess, at the end of the day. Lemon did not go for harassment. I think it was a big mistake, but that's what he chose to do. MaxPax is all about the harassment. And I think literally, like, just by being that Protoss player, even before you even do any of it, although he is already harassing here, lost an adept, but before you even do anything, you already are telling the Terran, like, I'm gonna get you. And the Terran is already, like, prematurely flinching, because you're like, oh my god, what is it? Oh my god. Oh, it's a fucking warp prism. They're terrified. Because MaxPax is the harassing Protoss, and he's also very good at it, too. It just makes sure that I think the other guy is in the more uncomfortable position, no matter what ends up happening in the game. And I think this was true for MaxPax even, like, 5 years ago. Even when he was not considered one of the best Protosses, he just had this kind of, you know, cute little build that he had, right? It still was mostly true. Like, he wasn't good in the macro game at that point, but he was still... There were signs. There was like these little like, oh shit, what's he gonna do? Okay, he did that and I didn't expect it. And then he just kept perfecting it. 3 Hellions on the field is an awful lot. Medevac could pick those up if you do a little trade here, but Stalker is going to focus fire the weakened Hellion. Make sure it doesn't one-shot anymore, so that's not as useful. In fact, now they aren't even two-shotting, and now they aren't doing any shooting. MaxPax did go for a 3-gate, as he typically does nowadays, with the Warp Prism. Byun's timing on losing these harassing units... Oh, he does save the medevac. I was going to say couldn't be worse, but at least he saved the medevac. Just because now MaxPax can mostly focus on the attack. Tanks are being built already in good position. Clem seems to be the best at his Sim City when it comes to deflecting a 3 or 4 gate. Unfortunately for Byun, it wasn't the Sim City that caused the problem there. Although you'll see some Terran players, they will go for the wall off around the diagonal here with this same set of buildings they'll put up here, or over there actually. And it's to make sure that the Stalkers, if they do blink in, they can't just walk back out. They'll have to wait for their blink to blink back out. Blink back out. Say that 5 times fast. And, you know, you could say that would have been better, but they went this way anyway. Ah! No, I don't want to update my printer. Oh, fuck off, computer. God damn. It's like I need the whole freaking screen to tell you that your HP printer needs updating. Alright. So unfortunately, already losing a tank. Does get 2 probes. I guess the medevac drop did come back in. Oh no, it was the auto turret. Sorry, medevac drop died actually. Another tank does go down. This might sound like hyperbole, but I think Byun is already lost. Yeah. This is too much damage taken by someone who is only 3-gating. The 3rd Nexus is up, saturated on the minerals. Gateways are coming down. MaxPax won't get an opportunity. Oh my god, and he denied stim. Oh no. Yeah, it's game over, man. GG's. God damn. They do pop up more often than I actually have to print anything. I'm not even sure this printer is working. I think last time I tried to print something, it said it was a paper jam. I've been drinking a lot of ginger ale because my stomach is kesty. And I didn't really think of it at the time, but it actually was kind of amazing that in Japan, ginger ale is actually a very popular soft drink. And maybe to a bunch of Americans, you might think that's a weird thing to say. Because even back when I was a youngin', I didn't think anything of it. I thought like the entire world was going to have, free refills on soft drinks and all the soft drinks, including root beer and ginger ale. But what you come to learn is that most of the world outside of the Americas, I suppose, or North America specifically, I don't know about South America, they don't like root beer or never heard of it. And many of them have not heard of ginger ale either. So actually, the fact that ginger ale was one of the 3 soft drink options in almost every Japanese restaurant we went to was just very fortunate. I had no idea. But believe it or not, I have more stories about ginger ale after the introductions. Killer's Mile, top right MaxPax, bottom left Byun. Byun didn't have the appropriate SimCity and didn't have the appropriate protection alongside the SimCity to protect the tanks. You lose the tanks, you lose the like the rim guard or whatever. You lose the protection of your base, and then it's a guy like MaxPax is gonna take advantage of that. But yeah, I totally forgot that Canada Dry, not Canada Dry, that ginger ale. This is very important on the wording. Oh, big cat. That ginger ale was not a worldwide thing. Because I learned about root beer ages ago. Because like TLO once told me that he hated it. But I was in Sweden and I had a tummy ache. And I was like, a ginger ale would just really hit best right now. So I tell our talent managers to go and find me a ginger ale. I'm just like, oh, can you get me a ginger ale? It was like innocent. I didn't think it would be a big deal. And they kind of were like a little pausing kind of maybe. But then they were like, okay, yeah, we'll go find it. And they went apparently for an hour to the grocery store. And they spent all that time looking in the liquor beer section. Before finally being like, oh, maybe it's in the American section. And they did find it in the American section. And they did give it to me. And after the cast was done, this was in a cast, I was like, oh, thanks so much for that. And they were like, yeah, we were really confused. It took us an hour. We thought it was in the beer, and we were kind of judging you for a little bit. I was like, wow, thanks for getting me a potential beer anyway. It was very nice of you. But just so anyone else who's confused, ginger ale is not an ale. Or I don't know what an ale specifically is, but it's not an alcohol. They got another factory expand. Reaper, Henlian on the way for Byun. The same order. Well, no, he did a different game 1 in the last series, but this is the same game 2 build in the last series. MaxPax will be able to figure this out. The Adept will shade once again. It sees already it's factory expand, of course. Gets the SCV too. Ay. It will give its life up for that, though. MaxPax didn't actually see what else was producing. But the first problem could very well be 2 Hellion, 3 Reaper. So that's the thing that you would kind of guess the most drastic problem first. Deal with that. Unfortunately, by losing the first Adept like he did, and then the second Adept also being just basically too courageous, it should not have been out there. The timing was not on MaxPax's side. MaxPax has to emergency wall, but it's a very big wall on Killer's Mile. And so the pylon was low. It had only just been built, and so it's easily taken down. And this is some serious revenge. 6 probes going down, 7, probably 8. Maybe a 9. Oh my god. That is 9 probes killed. 2 sentries, a stalker. The pylon was killed, not canceled. And then an additional gateway had to be made that he didn't actually want. Or maybe he's changing his mind, actually. So the gateway might have been something he wanted, but the build order is probably a little messed up regardless. Having to plant everything down all at once. But he might have changed his mind. He might have been going for a 3-gate because that's what he typically does. But then realizing that he's lost so much, he's going to try and apply some pressure because he is still getting a Warp Prism. So there's going to be some stalkers on the front line. They're going to scout, harass, and make Byun initially believe that it is a 3-gateway, which has that potential to kill, as we saw in the last game. And actually, he's going to go for a 2-gateway third base. So, I think that is the right call. I could definitely coach MaxPax. No. But he obviously thinks it's the right call. I also agree. I think it is a good call here. Very, very soon, Byun will say, hey, that's not a lot of stalkers. What are you really doing? And he will figure out that he doesn't have to worry like last game and that his opponent has expanded. He will figure that out eventually. But that said, there wasn't much that Byun would change. Maybe he doesn't grab a 3rd tank if he knew for a fact. I don't know, because a 3rd tank can still help you attack into that 3rd base. So I'm not sure that's really the case either. I'm not sure what really would change. All I know is that MaxPax will not have the same killing power, but he's going to try and basically recover his economy by having a faster 3rd Nexus. And so for MaxPax, it's going to be a tougher job of threading the needle, making sure that he gets enough economy after losing 9 probes, while also still getting enough army when the attack comes. And the attack is going to be almost full power from Byun, because no tanks died in the making of this. No stim was denied in the making of this. And again, as I said, Byun would eventually figure out that this has got to be a 3rd Nexus. There's not enough stalkers. Probably at this point he has, and he's just making sure that the 4 stalkers do not get his SCVs, so his tanks are positioned very well. Was going to go for a reactor. Realized he didn't have the gas to get his medevacs fast. I think that's what it was. Yeah, he prioritized his medevacs there. Observer does go down, and that's nice. Certainly worth a couple of Marines. MaxPax's going to add a couple more stalkers on the front because at this point he has to prepare to track the army. So he's looking for a couple of Marine kills or some damage on the tanks. Yeah. Does lose one stalker in the process, however. So can MaxPax defend? He does have at least a choke on his natural. That won't be busted anytime soon. The third base is a different issue, though. And even if the force fields can cover this entire choke, the tanks will probably siege up here, and then the sentries only get one chance to get those force fields down. Stim is going to be done. Combat shields will finish. +1 will probably also finish before the engagement happens. MaxPax is not prepared for an engagement, so at the end of the day, Byun could wait for +1 if he wanted to. If he scans ahead and sees a subpar Protoss army, he could just go for it as well. Got to be careful. You don't know how many Zealots are going to be coming in from which way when it comes to MaxPax, but already getting on top of that shield battery on top of the probes is a great sign. Immortal also getting focus fire down. Force fields trying to collect some of the army in turn, but is it the best? I don't know. Tanks are jumped on. The Zealots took the long way around, but they were hoping to kill these tanks. All three of them do go down, but because the focus fire was there from the Stalkers, Sentry and Stalkers will be sacrificed for that. And it looks like with the Zealots on top of the rest of the bio will not get the last few Stalkers. The last breath before they were picked up by the medevac, they went for the weak warping in stalker. Nice little micro there from Byun. War Prism was planning an attack, but Byun already knew that was going to happen. He was already rallying to his base, and then there just frankly wasn't enough time, attention, or money to really have a successful War Prism attack, and that was the opposite of success. That was very unsuccessful, killing the two Zealots and the War Prism before they did anything. Now the War Prism is no longer a threat. MaxPax, I thought this would be what Protoss would do since like 2014. I don't even know. But for me, the Warp Prism has been the scariest unit in the game for so long. Well, a Warp Prism with DTs is the scariest unit. But MaxPax feels like one of the first Protosses who was like, if I lose a Warp Prism, I immediately rebuild it. I don't care what time it is. And I think that is actually very powerful. I do like that. It's just so scary. As a Terran player, I have to leave units at home. I have to pay attention to more than one location. This is bullshit. Of course, in this case, the Warp Prism is nowhere near his home now. A little bit of a trade going down there, one that did not favor MaxPax. He does have to bleed out, so this is just part of what happens when you lose 9 probes. The amazing thing is that even though he's bleeding out on the resources, he's not dead. And he's actually even getting a 4th base. A 4th base that is so far away that if Byun decides to go after that 4th base, it would give MaxPax a crucial extra X amount of seconds to try and defend it. So, this might just be killed, right? Byun is heading towards it. The probe's going to scout that. It might just straight up die. But it might give MaxPax enough time. Another warp-in happens. No shield battery around it, though, so that's a bummer. Might not need it. Looks like Byun scans ahead, doesn't like what he sees, pulls back. 3rd CC is done and saturated, by the way, guys. Warp Prism died. What? I don't even know what happened to it. Oh, wait, we're going to those Vikings. Fancy. Nice prediction there from Byun. Especially because it seemed to have gone a ways away. Raven does get taken down. Nice usage of just 4 Stalkers. But those 4 Stalkers are basically your vision alongside that scouting probe and the anti-air. That's it. But, they're making good use of it. The rest of the resources go into as many Zealots as you can muster and a couple of the big tanky units. I mean, tanky's not the right word, but the Immortals and the Colossus. Force fields do come down once more and really complicate matters for the Terran forces. Not as combined together, so not able to take down the Zealots as fast. The Zealots actually getting some good shots. The Colossus, of course, free-firing this entire time. Nothing to deflect that, as the Vikings had not come forward. I actually wonder if Byun didn't even realize he killed the Warp Prism. Because if he knew, maybe he would have sent those Vikings to the front lines immediately. That would have been kind of funny, but I don't think it's an impossibility. I think that actually might have been the case. Not that 2 Vikings would have killed the Colossus particularly fast, of course. But we do need to get Vikings for the Colossus. MaxPax was able to come out of that fight. A lot of Zealots less, but still 4 Stalkers. Okay, now 2. The Immortal, one of them did die, but the Colossus stayed alive. Already up to 3. So I guess the second one was on the way if Byun had not backed away. And MaxPax is only down by 30, 20-ish supply. Okay, there's a warp in. So he's only down by 20 army supply. That's okay. If you have knowledge of where they're attacking, a couple of good units, that's not just, you know, a bunch of stalkers, a shield battery, and a choke, that could absolutely overcome 20 supply. Nice focus fire at the stalkers before they blink away. Gotta grab a marauder. Nexus might be canceled, but that's okay. In fact, he's not going to cancel it. It'll be very, very weak when it finishes, but it is about 70% completed, and he clearly wants that to finish. Zealots not able to use a Warp Prism. Gives up on that idea, which I certainly don't mind now that both of them have been killed. And he did need to prioritize Colossus for these last few attacks, but the Zealots can just go across town. And then I think, yeah, I was totally going to say it, guys. He's going to get a Warp Prism as soon as he grabs that 4th Colossus. Yeah. Zealots were found out, unfortunately. Byun on top of things this game, for sure. This is a much better game. But MaxPax is getting closer and closer to a prime Protoss position. It's not prime until you take the map control. But 4 bases and maxed out, anything can happen. Upgrade lead for Byun, by the way, as he did get 2 engineering bays for MaxPax could afford the 2nd forge. No shield battery on that 4th. Again, very weak from earlier. A couple of ghosts now available too, so EMP is take out the potential force field. That's exactly what it does. Zealots on the backside hoping to create their own little force field potentially. Not getting an opportunity. Somehow that Nexus stands. Not for long. I don't know where 7 probes went down, but I guess a Liberator went to harass is my guess. Or a Viking did? I don't know actually. Liberator was not used. Another Warp Prism, 3rd time's the charm, heading off to that left side. Planetary is forming, however, so has a very limited amount of time to find the damage, and the army has actually gone back. Whatever that was, just saw that Byun had returned home. So the Warp Prism's not going to be used if the army is clearly going to be able to respond to it. But with the pullback on the Terran army, MaxPax tries to make that room. That's a lot of Vikings, though. Oh, boy, those Colossus are not going to stand for very long. Having to run away from the Vikings as well means that the entire Protoss really has to run away. 1 more Colossus to go, and that is also going to fall. Disruptor will fall after Immortal as well. Very little is going to survive after this. Disruptor isn't even really what sent Byun back. Byun was just going to reposition anyway. Go after this 4th base, or 5th base, excuse me, which 4 bases is livable. I do think he needed a 5th. He lost so much supply right there. This is a very stimmed, very injured army, but there's nothing now to kill it. And that is going to be game in favor of Byun. GG's. Not going down without a fight. Now it's tied up. And move on to torches. Bottom right, MaxPax. Top right, Byun. When I played my big brain bouts, I practiced the day before. And I was really glad that I did for one big reason. Which is that these U-shaped maps, where you're on the same side of the map, totally forgot. I had a ladder game where I absolutely sent an SEV up to here. And I was like, thank God that wasn't on broadcast. Anyway, speaking of how the natural is built, this last game, I do believe the amount of buildings necessary was the reason MaxPax lost 9 probes. Like, his handling of the opener was subpar, because you do not want to lose those 2 adepts like he did. That has how it leads to disaster. But there was that one last second chance if he had gotten a wall up fast enough, and he would have, if a pylon wasn't necessary. But this, I don't know how many actually would wall this off. What's more interesting anyway is just that there's so much space over to the right, because you actually mine out the gold, take your 3rd. So we got some experimentation with the new maps. You know, when the Zerg rocks are making a big appearance. Not the map with the acceleration zones, though. Dimitri's back. So we got another factory expand from Byun. It did work out last time. MaxPax, 2 things. Probably walls quicker if the first thing goes poorly again, and that is the Adept Scout and the follow-up Adepts. So he probably does both those things better. I don't believe Byun is guaranteed 9 probes here, but he does want to try and get some damage. I do like that the name of the map is Torches, and not only are there a lot of torches, but they're quite audible as well. I'm a sucker for fire sounds, I suppose. Like fireplace, fire, pit sounds. The Zerg rocks do die over time. Yeah, that is their gimmick. They are off of creep, and so they do bleed out over time. I forget how long. But yeah. And obviously you can also attack them to kill them faster. 2 Reapers and a Hellion is on the way. It is the same build as last time, but this time around, 2 Adepts together. Still probably not a good idea to go... Well, as long as they trade out for some units, I would say. And they will trade out for at least one of these Hellions. You can see they were trying to go for a Reaper. They're trying to get a 2-for-1 deal at the end there. Oh, but a shield battery's here, and that's going to help. Not going to bother full walling. Seems like he's okay with the trade. Probes can pull to the shield battery need be. The one in the main is not quite done, but it is finishing. So this is how MaxPax planned on resolving the issue of the last game. He could have kept his Adepts at home, and then he wouldn't have gotten a scout. You know, as soon as he was attacked, he would know what it is, of course. And if he was going to blind shield battery anyway, like maybe he could have gotten away with that, but... blind shield battery is kind of a stretch considering how he... lost the last game, and if there's any possible way that you can hamper MaxPax in the early game, you're going to try and do it again. So, shield batteries are only so blind. A little pylon block, though. Oh, he messed up on his macro. Oh, everyone point and laugh. MaxPax makes mistakes, too. Oh, my God. Pretends it's totally not a mistake by stopping pro production. I'm on to you. I'm on to you. But seriously, I mean, he does make the best out of it and at least gets a 3rd base up and running. Blink is almost done, and the stalker count stayed healthy. So at the end of the day, you can see that it actually was a worse trade for Byun. There was hardly even any mineral loss, you know, mining time loss. MaxPax is people too. We don't have confirmation on that technically. We've never seen him in person. He could be an AI, I suppose. No, he's actually... Well, you know, AI also pretty good at voice recordings. We have not seen him in the flesh. He could be a machine. Definitely could be. But apparently one that makes mistakes. Stim is only now on the way. You can see that Byun prioritized getting these tanks. 3 tanks. Thank you very much. 3 gateways are down from MaxPax, but he doesn't see the attack incoming until this observer. Now that he knows, he's going to get the stalkers back in position. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with those stalkers. I thought they'd blink a little faster, and they misblinked. I guess the Zerg rock's a little bigger than you think they are? I don't know. Anyway, it is an attack from Byun that is trying to catch MaxPax off guard. The most powerful thing about it is these 3 tanks that do get up all nice and cozy up against that natural. Target that sentry as well. But we still have a backup shield battery. We still have an immortal. And we still have 3 gateways. The robo also manages to stay powered, although the shield battery does not. So it's a little more dangerous. But this is kind of dedicated by Byun. Not because he pulled SCVs, because he didn't. But because he did delay his technology for it. Immortal is barely going to live, although maybe not. Shield battery not going to be able to help it. But the medevac now... 100% gives up its life for it. Might have died anyway, so that might have been a choice to make there for Byun. But he gave up a lot for doing that attack. The stim was delayed. It is going to finish, so that's not the worst thing. He does have his 3-1-1 setup, but he has no army. There's going to be a pretty big gap of threats here, where MaxPax does not feel terribly afraid. And so he will be able to get his production up and running as well as his 3 bases. But Byun, I like this. One thing he has done is ensure that MaxPax is thinking defensive, defensive, defensive. So he's going to try and reach out for that 3rd on location. I, in fact, really like that. The Observer is denied vision of the natural, but it might, yeah, since it lived, it's still going to get to that 3rd base, I think. I mean, what it's checking for now is probably any type of follow-up all-in. Where are the medevacs? Okay, why aren't they with the army? I said all-in. Follow-up attack, excuse me. The Observer on the right side does see the medevacs. The Stalkers, there are some back at home, but now that the army is fully unloaded, this is less than ideal. They wanted to be ready for the medevacs before the unload happened. Shield battery from the beginning of the game is still available, however, and that is going to save the main base from any further destruction, I guess. I don't know. Focus on the front side as well. MaxPax, he is actually... Where is his army? His production finished, but he hasn't built his army. 8 gateways needing to be used right now. He is using some of it. Oh, that's where it was used. Some of it anyway. He was banking a little, but 4 Zealots trying to find the same amount of damage that the probe's going to take here, but it's not going to be equivalent. Uh-oh. Byun might have just tilted MaxPax a little too much. Not emotionally, but rather just put him on the back foot. Even though that was not that scary of a follow-up drop, the fact that it was not scouted to the very last second, so the Stalkers awkwardly tried to kill the medevac, but as the army was unloading and killing them in turn, made the whole damn thing awkward. It happened as MaxPax was trying to get his Warp Prism in, so we probably had a bit of a choice overwhelming issue, you know, where it's like, well, do I use it? Do I not use it? Okay, I'm not using it. Okay, I'm banking 800 minerals. Oh shit, there's an attack on my 3rd base. Oh my god, I didn't build a shield battery there. Things were supposed to calm down, I thought. But Byun, just with a simple 2 medevac drop, has made sure that things never calm down for MaxPax. And now MaxPax is the one who's in a bit of trouble. He is down 3 workers. Still technically doesn't even know about the 3rd base. Warp Prism's going to head into the natural, and we'll find some success there. But on the front lines, we have an attack. MaxPax tries to cut the army in half. Maybe was somewhat successful. It certainly bought time. And the Zealots are trying to get that SCV damage, which they are currently getting. Warp Prism is a goner, but the Zealots are going to buy at least some time, or at least some SCV kills. And Byun, you know, finding the army in the middle of the map now, it may be a little shyer about just running and gunning forward. Zealots have been cleared up, 3rd CC untouched this entire time. +1 attack also had been in effect for Byun this entire time. So there was that upgrade lead. Now it's going to even up, but only for 30 seconds. Byun's fast with that +1 armor. MaxPax might have a tiny probe lead, but you want more than that when they're slapping down 3 mules. Immortal gets focused down immediately. 2 Immortals still exist. Guardian Shield, a couple of force fields, can do wonders. But Byun not really letting a lot of units die there. Not trying to be over-eager. He doesn't have to be eager here. He knows the Warp Prism is dead. He knows there's very little to harass him. And he knows that if he can just focus on the fight, he'll have a good chance of winning. Immortals going down. They are on the front line. Shield battery needs to be gotten to. MaxPax desperately trying to wait for that Colossus. Finally comes out. He actually had purposefully used his Stalkers to focus fire the Vikings, which almost put them in trouble, but he clearly wanted that Colossus as the Hail Mary defense. And I don't think it will be. He needs an Immortal. All these Marauders super low, but not dying to the Colossus. MaxPax is going to be out of this upper bracket anyway, as Byun surprises me and takes the 2-1. GG's.